Alright, here we enter the fourth turn of Neerwinden, and what's happened so far? Well, the big takeaway is I've been struggling with the rules mightily. Not the rules themselves necessarily, but the implications that are within them. And yeah, I'm also not really at all happy with the image-centered aspects of the rules, and I went over that in my last video. But outside of that, which is slowing the game tremendously, as I perform a brigade action, and then I look back, maybe right away, maybe a couple actions later, and I'm like, I'm not sure that was right. I'm not sure I complied with all the restrictions that are in place, because movement is highly restricted, and the orders you can be in under certain conditions are also restricted, and it's confusing me. Beyond that, though, the advances the French were making over here have largely fallen apart with the destruction of the infantry brigade that was furthest, I guess that's north. Do we have a rosette? Yeah, it's kind of north. Nothing much happened over on this flank, but movement in Neerwinden itself is beginning to press where it looks like we're making advances there. It's hard to tell because our troops are getting pretty heavily spent plowing through there. And not much happening here. There was a bit of chaos here that I think I fucked up, and whatevers. Cheated a little bit to repair the situation. And that's about it. All right, so ready to start, squeeze a little bit more out. And hopefully I will pull away from the focus and just let you know when I make mistakes or whatever, or get confused in less detail, because I think it's just a cost of playing this, is that it's just going to take me some effort to figure out how to make it, how it should work as I'm playing it. Now, if you had really sharp eyes, you would have noticed I hadn't yet unflipped all my artillery. I did. I think the only artillery remaining, and I think this was the case last turn, is French, because I fucked up and deployed all my allied artillery right at the front, which potentially served a sort of deterrence factor to the French attacking, in that I got a little better results on the 1 table than the 2 table, but it's not what you want to do. It's okay. Let's keep going then. I also have noticed that I actually accidentally left all the artillery hits on the board too. Took them off. These are the new ones. A few. I don't know that they're going to do much. The guards might be able to do something. This Surbeck here, what's he in? He's in March now, which he had to fall into, I think. I don't know. But I've got this firefight, and I think what I'd like to do is withdraw to dress ranks, which means I won't be charging, which means nothing, no matter what, I won't be hitting this space. And then this other Harborville here, or Herberville, can maybe squeeze in somewhere. We'll see. And the guards, of course, can hit here, and this maybe can, I mean, there's a firefight there, so no, but this unit maybe can affect this. I don't know. I tried a 3-hex shot. Artillery really starts degrading, to the point where there's a 30% miss rate. If I'd gotten a single hit here, I might have tried to put a double in there, but you know, pushing anywhere in Neerwinden seems like it's worthwhile. On to the commands, and again, the French have the better leader, so they're disadvantaged here. All right, a quick consideration. Passes on both of these, fine. But now I'm over here with Prince Conti. And, not Conti, Conti. Okay. Just not aware. I've got an interesting option. I could try to swap the Zerleben in for Dalencourt here and try to exchange them. They won't be able to just automatically freely exchange, but if these manage to dress ranks, I could pull the Dalencourt up. It would have to be trying to first of all, the values are the same. So if Dalencourt's in the support line, he'd be going from charge to dress ranks. It's that same 4. So the idea would be he would be able to pull back and I'd be able to bring fresh units into play. Is that terribly valuable? It might be. I can't just pass through the line very easily. It involves like having to move units in and then stack them differently, and it takes a couple of turns to bring a new unit into line when there's a solid formation in front of it. Does that make sense? Because the thing is, this is a very, very tight wing, and it's not clear to me that I would want to do that, as opposed to just fall back and try to recover. I haven't done a hell of a lot of damage to the Earl Nassau G force there. I'm torn. I mean, I think it's going to be too complicated to try to swap a unit in, although it's going to be painful to have routing units coming out of there. I think I'll just pass on this front as well. And I don't want to risk my commander. Now for the Allies, do I want to shift this? See, this is a more important wing, but swapping in there would be useful, especially if the Danes could swap over to here to help fill in. I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop bemoaning my command indecision. Lie about doing so. So the issue here is, I really should not have just passed with this. I should have tried to move the Danes over. I think I did that last time, but now it's too late. It's just that swapping units is hard. But I think I'll go for it this time. And I don't want to risk commanders, I think, because I'm going to need them. Like I said, the French probably are better. And I need a pretty low value to do this. This is going to be a transfer brigade, which is a 1. I don't see any transfers there. Transfer brigade to a wing with no brigades in reserve. That would be this. Of course, this has got none in reserve either. But that gets me to a 2 plus 1 is 3. And I don't succeed anyway. Now the French move over to their left flank, and I managed to get a commitment of this Montfort Cav to try to come in and perform that outflanking that I want to do. Again, this red dot gets me confused. I don't know what I hope for, but the dots and dashes, it's hard for me. What's impressive there was that my chances were very high. This is commit brigade 2. Commit brings to 3, brings it to 4, brings it to 5 because these are 4 away, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the front. So, and then 6 for the leader. So I had a very, very good chance, actually a 70% chance. You'd say 6, wouldn't that be 60%? No, 0. A weird situation that I don't really have a counter for, but the Brits managed to do a relief in place between these two. So the first guards have to get out of there, and these guys have to move up. I don't know how I'm going to do that, how it's going to activate, but these counters either have a commit on them or a brigade transfer. Brigade transfer is shifting to a different wing. So that wouldn't apply. The commit sort of applies, but there's no uncommit, right? There's no get rid of that unit. But I think by using this notation, I indicate what I want to do there. They're both in March, so that's not going to be too painful. And that ends up being the extent. Oh, damn it. I fucked up. I moved him there. Now that swap means this isn't empty, so this guy doesn't jump automatically up. I want it to do something, though, here in Neerwinden, and I didn't remember to do it. What did Neerwinden want to do? Sorry, the plains here, the central. I wanted to move this cav into there. Okay, let's take a quick chance at that. If I can find the dice that I hid. So that is going to be transfer brigade is 1. Support is not full. I'm transferring from reserve, it's cav, so that brings me to 2. This has a reserve, not really what I wanted, but yeah. So I think I'm at a 2. I don't get it, that's fine, and I've already flipped that. So yeah, I'm ready to start activating brigades, which is of course the painful part, but I think it's time for raid. Again, somebody asked about what the hell raid is. It's Raid Shadow Legends. It's a shitty fucking gotcha game that has, taken the place of work for dulling the pain, because heroin's more expensive. But I put a link in if anybody's interested in trying it. I can copy that in for whatever value there is to it, but it's really no fun at all. Just if you need electronic heroin, it'll work. Okay. It's a little right around midnight. I've gotten a really painful connection tonight. A friend, and an old friend of my past wife's, like a grade school friend who, I don't know, apparently since she's been aware that my wife died in November of the year she died. Some, 6, 8 months, whatever, after. And for all these years has been kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what's been going on, but she's been like, she was able to kind of stalk me in part to make sure that I was her husband, and also, and I do the personal videos and stuff that involve this and all that. I have no problem with that. I understand all of that side of it, but she contacted me today, and it just set off all kinds of painful ways. Anyway, neither here nor there. I started by activating the Salis Brigade. Now this is interesting, and weird shit started happening here. So I wanted to fight with this unit first. Okay. It's striking into a village here, and this unit was in front, so it was facing this vertex, which means the unit under it receives the attack facing this vertex. It did its first fire. I need to put a casualty that I didn't under here. And I got an absolutely lowest roll possible, which is going to create a DR result. Okay, here's how I'm interpreting this as it stands. Since the top unit is facing this way and is in a firefight with this, it's unaffected by any of this. The other unit is going to be essentially facing out into this direction, so that it's not waving its ass at me or whatever. And, you know, after calculating the odds, they're not good, but a 0 gets me a DR. Well, in order to retreat, if I'm facing that way, these are the two hexes I can retreat into. I'm not allowed to go into either of those. Now, I don't know if I'm forced to take the extra casualty for not retreating in a village, or if I roll on here. And that's kind of an interesting question, because if I'm forced to take the extra casualty, that unit underneath, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I'm all fucked up. What happens here? I'm trying to think. See, it was a fresh unit. It flips over. Yeah, I've pulled the wrong unit out. If I'm forced to take the extra, I had the wrong, I confused the two units. This top unit is the one that would have been facing this way. It did its first fire. If I'm forced to take the extra casualty, I hold the hex. Obviously, I have the choice to do that. But I couldn't instead roll on here, where I'd subtract the, I think I have a choice between the two. I can either take a, I'm forced to retreat and I can't, or I stand in a village and don't have to roll on here. So what is the odds on here? The odds on here is that I can only ignore it on a 4 or less, but on a 6 or less, I get the same result that I would have. That does mean I have a 30% chance of just being destroyed, routed, by trying to do that, and only a 20% of ignoring the retreat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the extra casualty for being in a village. And now, technically, the stacking is like this. I was not dislodged from the firefight because that unit wasn't even involved in the combat. And that's one of the attacks from the Salis units. I couldn't use the guards first to try to dislodge things from a perhaps stronger position or something, at least an anchored line, because they're not in charge formation, or charge orders, which means I have to do Salis beforehand. So I wanted to do this first before I get around to the next things, which I think is the Reynold unit. I just wanted to point that out because there's some weird, that's the kind of structure you have to build in your head to try to figure out what's going on in any given situation. Now, this is a particularly complex situation, but I'm often finding myself making those kind of decisions. They're not going to be clearly spelled out in the rules. You have to kind of construct and figure out what does any given situation actually mean. This next one, let's take a look. I can use tweezers, but only with my right hand. So underneath this unit, which is facing this way, I can pivot this lower unit to defend this space. Now this lower unit has a strength of 3. I'm attacking 2 to 3. Actually, 1 to 3. So I'm at -2, -4 for the village. Make it -3 because he's got an exposed flank, I guess. I'm really not sure. Like, I don't feel like the flanking rules should even apply in the village, but I can't find anything that says that they don't, right? I feel like you should... Actually, they don't because this unit's there. Do they? I don't know. I think they don't. Okay, so I'm at like -4. I'm going to be on the worst table there, even with this artillery hit in my favor. Which means, I don't know, but let's roll. If I get a really... Should I be making this attack? Well, I have to. I'm in charge orders. And I didn't roll to try to get out of them. But if I roll like a 0 or a 1, something good happens here. A 5, not so good. I get a 1 AR. That's going to rout this fucker. And nothing happens to the allied unit. Again, zooming in carefully because some weird shit is beginning to happen as things get more complicated around Neerwinden. Here's the thing. The bottom unit was facing this way. This unit is facing this way and would defend against either of these. Now this thing's under a firefight, it's not going to be attacking, but this one is. So it's a 2, and this is a somewhat weaker unit, to a 2, okay? But I'm cutting both across a stream and into a village, so I'm at -3 for that. -2 for the artillery hit. I'm covered, I guess, by the unit behind from this direction, by that unit from that direction, covered on both. So I think I'm on the -2 table here. And again, there's no leaders in play here. I don't want to risk my leader, basically. And this time I get a low roll, but not low enough. That's going to generate another firefight, so everybody's kind of getting locked into combat there. And this unit wouldn't rout after just losing 1. It's got a morale of 10. It goes down to a 9. That's going to automatically succeed. But then the Reynaud unit did equally complex little dances to get into position. Like the unit over here had to move back over here, couldn't attack, but there was a unit back here that had to attack this because it was straight line into there. And I also reinforced into the town there. I could have actually reinforced both units in. I didn't want to because I want this unit to be able to replace the Salis if that goes under. So I got 2 attacks, both actually on the 0 table, which isn't bad. One locked in as a firefight. This other one ended up with an AR, and I can't retreat here. Stacking says I could retreat there. How about I do so? I took a casualty instead, but I think I can retreat into that hex. So I'm going to have to fix that situation. In fact, I must retreat if I can. I'm not giving an option except in the villages. 2 more brigades under charge orders. I did this Rocheguyon first. Now this was complicated. So I backed up additional units into it. There's only 1 unit here, so that conceivably can be retreated. The way the line is built, these units have an exposed flank in both cases, so they're not, whatever's underneath them is not blocking their retreat. It's kind of weird that way. I guess it's like extending to connect the line or something along those lines. I don't know. It's weird because whatever connection was done here, this unit would, if this space was not filled, this unit would have an open flank on that side, right? Even though whatever's refusing here, you know, is fine. All fucked up, man. I don't think the definition of open flanks is actually working. But anyway. Okay, just a definite risk. Not burning, just crap. So what ended up happening, the attack here got kind of first fire, I think, on both cases. And I may have actually done an extra hit onto the Earl unit here. But over here, the Nassau unit actually hit me with a 1AR, which was enough that the top unit, even though he would have had retreat room, he was beat up already. This unit came in behind him, essentially, taking up the flank position. Couldn't take the front position, can't replace. You would have to be in move formation and spend or move orders and spend an extra turn, full turns movement to swap places. So the unit on top ended up being routed by the one hit, which means essentially nothing happened to this unit. And then it routed through and destroyed a first fire for that unit. And then these guys, well, they failed to get an orders change, so they're still stuck in firefight across the board there. That's the end of the units with charge orders, which is going to put it to the Brits. Again, I feel like I've had to expend so much effort to kind of figure out what the hell's going on and everything that that I just want to walk away for a little while. Oh boy. So when I set this up, I wasn't really thinking too hard about how that would actually have to be affected on the map. And it's not pretty. Because these are both in March. I can choose to do either one. But whichever I do, I have to leave a moment in between that the French could conceivably take advantage of. Now, it's not a big deal because Renault and Salas already went. But I was kind of, I don't know, I mean, my impression is kind of, oh, I'm just doing a swap, right? You know, in terms of it's an automatic thing over here, but it's not. It's temporally distinct actions. Now, it's going to work okay because if the first guard can get out of there, right, it will be able to kind of withdraw first, and then I can move these into place afterwards, and that's all fine, I think. But I think I have to do it in that order because these guys can't really get into the locations that I want them in. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be attempting here, is to switch orders on the first guards. And now, what is my requirement here? Because if my requirement is that I be in move formation, that'll be fine for this stack, but that's not going to work for this stack because it's under firefight. So if we take a look, units in the same wing but different lines. Now this isn't it. Let's see if there's anything funky here. The brigade that's being relieved may not go into a charge order, but is not required to move into compliance. That's weird. Like, because my feeling was if you're out of compliance, you always have to try to get back in. But it may be that I don't have to do it right away, but I will later. Because it's going to be in that other line. And I mean, that just seems weird that I wouldn't be required to. Anyway. God, this is going to be complicated because I can't actually withdraw. But I can partially withdraw, I guess. See, no, it's just not going to work. Because, anyway, there was something that said, hey, if you're not in compliance, And it's not just the brigade order, it's something else. If you're not in compliance, you end up throwing yourself into a move order to fix that, but I don't know. It's this, non-compliance. If you're not in compliance, you're marked as either a transfer or commitment. A brigade not in commanders may not change orders to charge or desk ranks. It remains under march orders. Well, I'm not under march orders necessarily. I am, but yeah. But I'm not actually able to achieve compliance as long as I'm in this firefight. And I will be in the way of what I want it to do, which was to replace these two units with a line that can actually stretch across. Fuck. Well, I have no idea. So now, on the other hand, this is the Neerwinden line. Is that the plains? I don't know. We got this line. No, it's the Neerwinden line, which is here, which means I have to cover all the way from back here. But unfortunately for me, I have Hanovers in there as well as the First Guard, and the Hanovers can't be replaced. But I can line up to here. I have no idea. Because unfortunately I've got something big sitting in the midst of me that I can't possibly get myself into proper compliance. Like, this cannot get itself into compliance, no matter what. All right, I don't know. But I think what happens is I'm going to activate these in a march order. These will fall back there. I'm going to put this way to remind me. And these guys are going to march, I guess. We were facing this way. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now to get these guys into compliance, at least brigade compliance, they're going to have to do something to get themselves there. So 2, 3, 4. I guess like this. I don't know what that's... I mean, this doesn't look reasonable. I don't feel like I'm doing anything linear at this point. But with this shit in my way, I can't back it out. You know? Oh, and of course that, opens this up where it looked like I had a defensive line behind. Now I do not anymore. So things are not getting applied the way I would expect them to, the way I thought they were going to. But I can't get these guys out of there. I could get these guys out, but not these. I guess... This is the thing I'm just not sure about. Non-compliance order transfers or commitments. I don't think I'm doing either of those. Which means I guess I could have tried the withdrawal. What would this have been? 1, 2, 3, 4. This line was like this. Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to make room. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. I've got to make room. And I'm not interfering with any support line or anything, right? Well, I am, because I'm behind this, but I can't fix that. I just can't fix that. That thing is in the front. I can't do a goddamn thing about it. But these guys are going to want to fall back, is basically the thing. Now, this guy doesn't want to fall back. So even though he's in the support line, and like, there's no way this force can fix that unit being there. Like, I don't know. All right, on to a French unit. Like, it feels to me like these guys should have to try to get out of there. But If they were in a non-compliance situation, they couldn't attempt to do what they need to do, which is dress ranks. And I was too crowded to be able to dress ranks to get out of, so I was taking these four hexes, right? 4 units, 4 hexes. This unit could have pulled back here. The hell? Okay. This unit could have pulled back here, and this unit, though, would have had nowhere to go except maybe here to break its, and it would have been backing up and exposing. I don't know. It felt fucking weird to me. Like there was no way around it. Although, honestly, that might actually do it. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back to our line. This is what we've got. Let's not flip these guys over. These guys are being committed over these guys. I think we did this as a switch this way or something. I don't know. This thing, the first guards, is going to attempt, because they're not under any restrictions where they have to get into compliance, oddly enough. And this may be exactly why that's the case. But we're in March, trying to dress ranks. We're at a 2, we're at a 1 for firefight, and what else? No modifiers, no moss. We're in support, so we're actually a 2. I don't get it. This is done. I can't do shit with it. Although this stack is in March, so I could do something, but no, I would end up breaking brigade integrity, so I can't move. And then, on the next move, I think this guy is going to have to figure out something to do. I don't know what. No matter what, he cannot be in compliance, but that was the problem I had when I was trying to move him. And now back to the French. God, I don't know. I can't find the rule. I was considering moving these Montfort units and whether or not I wanted to put them into charge. Well, if I do, this unit and this unit only would be forced to attack. But I seem to recall that there was something about not being able to go charging through the woods. But I can't find anything that forbids that. Although I remember seeing it. I don't think I want to charge with just 1 unit. It actually probably wouldn't work, because if I look cav versus infantry, there's no initial volley. So I would have to attack from the flank or rear, or from the front with at least 1 open flank. Yeah, there's an open flank here. Unless that's a dismounted dragoon, which I don't think it is. It doesn't have a D or anything on it. But I thought there was something that prevented cavalry from charging through the woods, and I'm not finding that. So I look under charge order. There's a number of things about cav. Now, terrain and area artillery impact may impede a unit from reaching the target, but the charge must still be executed as if the unit could reach the target. A charging unit may avoid some obstacles or artillery impact to reach the target, which is interesting. So you don't have to go straight forward, even though it kind of seems like you do. Like your targeting is chosen straight forward, but you can do weird shit. Disordered cav may not initiate combat and always treat a charge order as a march order. It may be helpful to mark individual units. No. And there's nothing else under charge. And now if I go over here, the next place where I see anything that might matter Well, some missing, I mean, I may be missing something that's hidden somewhere I don't accept it as being likely to be. I go to Cav attacks, and there's, I think, nothing there. Just scan through. There's a bunch of modifiers here. I don't see anything. Now this is Cav attacks, not Cav versus Cav. But I think it is. Okay, let's look at Cav versus Infantry. Cav versus Infantry is used to resolve this. That may use some of the same modifiers, and that may be why. Cav versus Infantry. I think I still get the charge modifier. I think I still get this. I'm not sure. But I'm not seeing anything. Terrain considerations. Maybe it's here. Forest Village, LOS blocked. Yeah, no, there's. Oh, cavalry, mounted cavalry. They're going to be disordered by going into the forest, which means that they wouldn't be able to attack. Okay. So I guess we just march with them, and that they have what, like 8 movement points or something. Does road do anything? I'm not gonna like this, but okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven, 8, I guess. Guess we'll just send them up this way. And they're going to come charging through the woods, but I really want to get this outflanking situation going. I am allowed to move adjacent to him, but I'm not allowed to attack because I didn't have a charge. I wasn't close enough to set that up. But now I've created a spook situation for them, which is precisely what I wanted to do, I guess. I don't know. And that's good, I guess. That's going to put me to the Brits, who now I want to take care of this other facet here, which is these guys, I guess. Oh, God. So they have to come into compliance that they can't possibly do. I don't even know what that means, right? Well, can I do something with Hanover? Because Hanover's kind of beaten up. It's in a firefight, and it would open up some space if I could get my Hanoverians into play there. So let me try to withdraw the Hanoverians. So they are, and he's got a big 0 there, I assume. I can't read what I marked up. Fucking counter errors. So they're going to be trying to do a brigade order. They're in the front. They're in march. They're trying to dress ranks. They're in a firefight. They need a 1. I fail. I'll just flip them over. And that brings me back here. And now I'm going to have to end up doing what I was doing before, I think, with this line. The other option would be to pile everybody in there. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know what the fuck to do with these guys, because they cannot get into compliance. And they can't end up here. They can end up here. What the hell is that? Is that more Hanoverians? It is. Wow, I'm just fucked. I can't go here. Yeah, I think I end up marching up into here and creating a clump there, which is absolutely not what I wanted to do. Is that legitimate? Von Hayden. Von Hayden is in a different wing. So, yes, I am allowed to clump up behind them, as odd as that might seem. Abe here is unable to get out of dress ranks formation. I'm not allowed to attack, and I want to hold these locations. I want to hold this line across the river. You know I'm allowed to advance. I don't think I want to advance there particularly. And if we look at dress ranks, it doesn't really allow me to dress my ranks the way movement would. I move up or back while maintaining facing or change vertex. I could do this, and that means if next turn I'm stuck there, I'm in okay shape. That does expose my flank. I don't know what to do about it. I need to get those guys up there, and this is the only thing I can think of. All right, back to this thing, and I guess what the only legitimate move I can make with these guys is something along this line. He actually has to get out of here. 1, 2. This is legitimate, so I'll go to 3 here. I could charge. I could do all this in charge. Let me see if I can get a charge, because if I can punch these guys back, that's good. And they were march to charge is a 4. No, I don't think I'm not allowed to. I wasn't in compliance. I'm not allowed to charge. Okay. Fair enough. Right? If you're not in compliance, let's look for the not in compliance rule. And again, I have to keep doing this because it just doesn't sink in properly. Non-compliance, if you're not in compliance, you're marked as you may not change orders to charge or dress rank. You must march to get there. Good enough. Now, I was thinking maybe I can't. Maybe I'm cheating here. Voluntary commitment. In order to be eligible, okay, that's commitment. You must be in support or reserve. Involuntary, relief in passage, shift left or right. I'm wondering if I have to be in move orders to change my commitment. Like I have to be in march. I don't remember seeing anything like that, and I kind of don't see it here. Now, obviously, you know, if you're in the support line or whatever, you're probably in march. But something up here, the non-compliance, says you can't change to charge or dress ranks. The brigade remains under march orders until it moves within compliance. To me, that means what happens if you are in march? Do you fall into march? Or can you only do a transfer or commitment if you're in march? Or what? And I don't know the answer to these questions. They're all part of the vagueness that's present. You know, the ideas make sense until you try to apply them. And that's again and again been an issue here for me. Have I done shit? Yes, I moved these. This is on the French. I don't know what the fuck the French are doing. I need to switch batteries. And I think I'm exhausted again, mentally, in trying to cope with this. You know, it's kind of weird because I've gotten a comment on my videos from at least one person, maybe a couple, that were along the lines of, oh yeah, I've played this a couple of times, it's a great game, or something like that. Now, if you played it under the playtest conditions, you know, but it didn't sound like that. It sounded like they got their fresh copy from GMT and were just able to play it. And I feel kind of stupid if that's the case, right? Like if people are understanding this completely, I feel like an idiot. On the other hand, I know that there's people who had a worse opinion, or maybe had a better informed opinion from reading the rules alone. Like when they read the rules, they're like, I don't get this. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe they're just more clever, or maybe they fiddled around with some pieces on the board. Something I know helps in understanding rules, but I don't tend to do because, most war games are kind of make sense. And this read like it made perfect sense to me. Like I had no problem with it in my mind. And now trying to apply it, man, it doesn't make sense in way too many ways. I don't know. I wish there was a tiny battle. Like I usually don't like things like that. But like both this and Blenheim are big battles. And there's a lot going on, right? I wish there were almost a toy scenario, light battle. Maybe, obviously I would have just blown it off and said, yeah, I understand what's going on. That's cool. But I think a wiser person might have been able to cope with something that's like a one-wing version of this. Maybe just a scenario that, you follow. Now, obviously, you can cut and paste and make your own or whatever. But it's like, there's no real indication of, you really should fiddle around with this to get an idea of what's going on. I am not getting an idea of what's going on. And I don't really feel like it's got much to do with the complexity of the scenario, but the complexity of the scenario certainly isn't going to help, right? I don't know. A couple little piddly things. I move Saint Laurent up so that there's a channel for these guys. I'm going to have to open up another channel back here as well because they have 4 moving points. That's fine. That's what the reserve actions are for, right? And meanwhile, over here, Ramsey has shifted over to face that cav. Now, this is perhaps problematic, but I can look over at the chart and see that Filippo here is not going to be leaving the support wing. It's not able to do it. And what does that mean? It wouldn't mean he can't charge. That support line can still charge, but I feel as if I'm going beyond this line in this direction, I'm no longer in the support line. And these guys facing this way, they're not creating any rear area at all, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't know what to say about them. They're like they're fucking at an odd angle to the rest of the army to such an extent that I don't even know how to account for them. Technically, I am in front of them. Which is just like, yeah, how do I cope with this? Well, I just use some common sense. Maybe I shouldn't be allowed to get there, but I didn't have the movement points to go through the woods. Not that I want to, but I could like dress ranks and stuff in the woods, I guess, and recover. Is this even legitimate? I don't know, but I've done something to spook Ramsey, and that's good enough. Now I'll come back to the front, find some other unit, probably something back here, because otherwise, what am I going to commit? This flank, I want to delay. I want to force the Brits into having to activate their units. It's not time for that. These are all used up. Surbeck. Okay, so this whole center is unused yet, and I could do stuff with them, but I'm less certain about what I want to do, and I might as well delay. I know. Again, I'm better off playing for time there. And then this is all used up already. So this reserve cavalry has ended up forming a column just to leave room for this router, which doesn't seem quite right, but yeah. Oh, there's men retreating. Form column, form column. was the easiest channel I could make. I don't know if we want to pause yet. Now, I've forgotten some things from back in the playbook because I was thinking about, I think this is the only place where it mattered anyway, but I was thinking about the fact that I was thinking about, hey, what do I want to do with Nassau? What if I charge with Nassau? This unit could come in and attack Surbeck here. But the problem is, if I declare an attack with Nassau, all the whole brigade has to attack if I do a charge. Now, the reason for that is because Surbeck, who has crossed over my defensive line, is no longer in charge. If he was in charge, I could do a normal move and attack here. I couldn't attack with this one, but that's, you know, that could at least march into place, which you can do either way. But what I've forgotten is that there are special rules here. Somewhere. Right? Somewhere. I thought they were right at the beginning and not at the end. Blenheim. This is historical. Scenario special rules. Crossing the Nebel. While not a large stream. Are we in Blenheim? Yeah, this is Blenheim. Fuck that. Okay, so back here, we got to find it. It's got to be here somewhere. Setup instructions. Scenario special. Breaching fortifications. The Brandenburg ones, don't worry about. That is, I think, just a unit thing. Whatever. If French infantry battalion begins and ends its movement while under a march or charge order adjacent to a fortification hex side that is unoccupied or is occupied by another French unit. Is that what happened here? I believe so. Last turn. Begins and ends its movement. Okay. So I think if Surbeck stays here, had I cracked the line already last turn? Yeah, maybe not. Okay, so this turn, if it happens, yeah, it's an option anyway. I would be allowed to place a breach marker, which I think eliminates that fortification for the rest of the game. But I'm only allowed as many as there are counters in the game. And causeways are for Blenheim. So, you know, do I want to create a breach here? Yeah, probably. It'll make it easier for me to cross at other times. But, yeah. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind, and maybe I want to activate them next. But is it their turn? No. I'm trying to figure out who among the British could move. And I was looking at Nassau, I was looking at Churchill, and I can't figure out anything that I can do of value with either of them. You would think, like, you know, recovery, dress ranks would do something, but it doesn't really right now. The key here is to see what happens, and I don't know about this facing here. Like, I suspect this is actually like this, and I've just lost my facing due to counter clutter or whatever. I don't think I particularly want to do anything with any of those units on the line. That'll just take away opportunities later if the French fuck up horribly or something. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably piddle with something back there. And this is the problem, and it's why, you know, all these backfield stuff, they're going to happen. And last turn I was able to, you know, come to a gentleman's agreement or whatever. Let's take care of this. But it's not that simple yet. So I think at this point the Brits do want to fuck around a little bit. Now, what do they want to fuck around with? The Bavarians probably don't mean a damn thing. And again, if I don't want to, if I call this a pass, if I don't move, I can do this, you know, right? I don't feel like I have to. And that's going to move it down to the French. I think the French are going to take advantage of Surbeck just to make sure I don't get chased out. I don't know. Now, Surbeck is was unable to change orders. So they're stuck in March, but I was able to actually get them into brigade compliance, mainly because Hebonville here, I cheated with them, right? Okay, fair enough, but I cheated with them last turn, so that's good. Cheating worked. So now I want to place this breach marker. Now, the instructions here say I'm supposed to place indicated by the arrow on the marker. There's no fucking arrow on this marker. There's nothing like an arrow on this marker. I guess what I'm going to do, I guess it's meant to be a particular hex side, so I'm going to put it like that. I don't know. It could be an entire hex, but then this, like, the rules don't match the counter. So what did they do? Did they decide that, hey, there's a breach across that entire hex, or there's a breach across that hex side? Now, it's actually worded how? Let me place the breach marker indicates the effects of the fortification indicated by the arrow on the marker. If it begins and ends its movement while under a march adjacent to a fortification that's unoccupied or is occupied by another French unit. So, if I was allowed to place a breach on the board, I think if it covered an entire hex and didn't have an arrow, I think it would cover either this hex or that hex. Either one would work. Adjacent to a fortification hex side that is occupied. Hex sides aren't occupied. Yeah, so, I mean, if it negated both vertices, both edges that contained fortification on them, and that was indicated by putting it in the hex, which kind of feels like how it should be without an arrow, I would be able to eliminate either both of these, which fine, or both of these by putting it back here, because I'm across, you know, I would say this one is adjacent to that one, and whatever, you know, however order you want to do it. I think it has to be a hex side. That's how the rules are written. I actually don't think that full big counter works very well no matter how you cut it, because, like, here at least it's like, I don't know, visible by being between two hexes. If it was like under a stack, the stacks are big enough and everything. So I think this actually works better. I'm done for a while. Yeah, I probably can play me some raid at this point. But yeah, I've worn myself out. So as world events are declining worse and worse, my own psychological state is also declining. I'm not sure those two are related. On the bright side, I think I don't have to file any taxes this year. It doesn't look like I do, which is probably for the best. And I better not have to, because I'm not. Here it is, I guess, tax day, Monday morning. And I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of time in between raid sessions, one which lasted me from like 4 p.m. until now it's like 1:30 a.m., just to give you an idea of how much that fucking thing eats up. And I've been sleeping most of the time I'm not playing it. And there's another event starting up right away. Trying to discern. So my psychological state does have an effect on how much I play, because, well, it's kind of twisted. Like, if I'm really in a psychologically good state, I might be going outside and doing things during the day, in which case that would limit my play. But instead, raid and my depression are ruling. Gonna try to figure out what the fuck's going on, though. In the game, it looks like I paused in the midst of brigade activations. I've got the dice over with the Brits, so that means even though I've had several days of inaction, I kind of feel like I can probably pick up where I was without too much hassle. I mean, it's definitely not as bad as Vietnam in that sense. Vietnam was very troubling in the sense of having to assess a bigger game space, I think, each turn to figure out which thing I want to do. But pulsed games tend to have this issue of, you know, you're left off in the midst of things. One of those quick assessments, I look, hey, the Nassau Guards, wow, they're stuck in a firefight with one of their units. Do I want to withdraw? Nah, nothing's really damaged, is it? Huh. No, dressing ranks might do me some good. If I don't dress ranks, I think to myself, do I want to attack? Well, I have some advantages. I have a first fire here, but I'd be cutting across this thingamabobber. That's not here. Oh, it's here. This is going to be the... Oh, shit. So I think I've been doing these as hasty breastworks. I'm not sure if they're hasty or full breastworks. I don't recall. But I think I've been treating them as hasty simply because I saw one. Uh-oh. Interestingly enough, when we go to the terrain key, it's fortification, which is not on this sheet at all. I don't know. I'm assuming they're full breastworks. So yeah, I might not want to go through it. So I'd get first fire, I'd do a hit on him, and then I'd be at a certain kind of advantage. Screw it. I'm gonna try the. I'm gonna try to move from march to dress ranks. I can only do that on a 1, but I have a bonus, so a 2. Not successful. Do I want to take the advantage in firing? I don't know. These guys aren't really going anywhere. I'm not really interested in making the battle go any quicker. Although routing that unit might be cool, and, you know, Dalencourt might end up routed if I blow it up. Let's let the French deal with the problem first. One of the problems is I feel like I'm kind of picking things at random at this point as to activations. I don't have I've lost sort of that strategic mindset or whatever for, hey, what do I want to do? Am I trying to delay? Am I not? I don't know. So, you know, I had the French activate Nassau. They didn't get a chance to dress ranks. The English tried to do the same with their cav. It's fine if they're, you know, because they're across from them. It's fine to delay. And now I'm back on the French again. And I really ought to be trying to figure out, do I want to be going first or not? What do I want to prevent here? What's up with these guys, for example? I have the guards in the Herbonville, if my eyes can see me well. Herbonville's back here. The guards are up here. I don't fucking know. I got some artillery hits. Maybe I want to hit there. Herbonville's there. Is Surbeck? Yeah, Surbeck's in there. So I just need to squeeze him up into there, I guess. I mean, I told him to go there. All right, we'll try that. A lot of this game, a whole lot of nothing is happening. For example, I had the Herbonville attack, ended up stuck in a firefight. Only one unit was able to get frontage here. Okay. I go to Churchill. He's unable to switch orders. Basically just turns and does nothing. Yes, I could have covered this Nassau line here, I guess, but didn't want to do that. These guys aren't in charge, so I don't even have an option to attack them. And then the guards go, And on their side, they end up hurting themselves here, and because of a no retreat essentially capability, they got an AR. And same thing here, except these guys made their sort of saving throw on the infantry unable to retreat table. And now we're back to the English, and there is not a whole hell of a lot that I can do. I think I'm at the point where I'm going to be flipping units and passing, because I think everything is in its, that's a regular unit, not a leader. I get confused by it. I don't know. The images just aren't working for me in a lot of ways. I've got the second guards and I got the Nassau. The Nassau might want to do something, but then I have to paw through their units and try to see, hey, do they want to try to recover or not? I don't know. What they don't want to do is charge, even though there's like units breaking through here, because a charge would mean across the front. And they definitely do not want to do that. They're hoping to force this guy out through some sort of attritional process or something. Well, it won't really matter because of that breach there, so I don't know. Some more nothing going on with the Brits, I think, actually passing. But the Cavalry infantry marched up and hit these Danes and some of Nassau here. And that caused a little bit of bloodletting. We have casualties on both sides, routes coming off of them. And let's look at the, I'm sorry, Danish, not Dutch. Let's look at the Danish infantry, which hasn't activated yet. The hope being, hey, I could do a recovery or whatever. Oh, that's actually not a double unit. I should have recovered before. Oops. So that has a morale of 6. Make it 5. It's going to rout. Okay. And Cavalry may also rout from this. From the other side of it, he's got also a morale of 5. And no leaders or anything. He holds. Oh, look, I think I cheated crossing this line again. These wing lines piss me off. They really just do. I feel like they're absolutely arbitrary, and they prevent you from putting your units, like, I mean, this is the thing. They're forcing me to create a gap in my line that I don't believe the actual commanders would accept in linear warfare. I do not believe that they would accept that there's some imaginary line preventing the army from joining up. It's an unbelievable situation, and I feel like there needs to be some kind of leeway with these lines beyond what the game provides. I don't know what it is, but as it stands, it just creates situations that I do not think are at all realistic. Anyway, fuck it. I did what I did. Spaniards trying to move over to cover the gap. I thought about moving the Danish cav up, but I kind of want the infantry to be aligned with the infantry up here. I was going to throw it in over there, but instead it found a different place where it needs to be. That puts me on the French again, and I'm kind of like, okay, I screwed up some other stuff, so what do we do here? And I don't know. I don't really know that I have anything that wants to do anything. This guy probably wants to move forward, but here's his problem. Roche-Guyon is part of the front here. And here I feel like it's sort of this way, and I really just can't move up and overlap it in that fashion. So, given that I can't do shit, I'll just flip him. And I think declare a pass because I don't see anything else I can or want to do. I'm not sure what the hell could be done with, say, Philippot's Cav over here. In part because what's up with this? Yeah. I might be able to move up a hex or something. Sure. I think I can move up at least one hex under any reading of it. Do I want to? And I think we're at a point where both sides are going to pass, which throws me over to whatever the hell rest of the turn is. Gotta remember what that is. Routed units, and then clean up and reset. And I'll take care of that and come back. But either that or have to come back and tell you I lied about coming back, in which case I didn't really lie. And I enter into a logical loop. You know, it's funny because the kind of problems that I see with trying to match this game with what I think the intent is are just the kind of things that at an earlier age, I definitely would have thrown my little hooks into. I think I would have. I don't know. I'm not used to that in tactical games. I'm used to it in the big strategic games and whatnot, where I'm like, wow, something isn't really working here, and I think I can take sort of a fuzzy interpretation, and that's how I got through things like Europa Universalis, La Grande Guerre to a little bit of extent. Where's the Grand Sequel? I don't know about, but La Révolution Française definitely. To some extent, it was the kind of stuff that started hooking me into invasions and making me want to examine and explore it more. And the EU pop, the Europa Universalis, I don't remember what the pop stands for. There it is. Price of Power. I'm guessing that's what one of the additions for the computer game was called, that it is based off of. I'm not used to having to fiddle around too much with, let's make the tactical game make more sense. Most systems that I've seen with tactical are pretty, I don't know, pretty solidly based. There are a couple where I had issues. I had issues with the Battles of the Age of Reason, I think because I didn't read the rules right. Like, I think I fucked some shit up in it, and that's part of it. Part of it's also mechanically, it's got much more in line with Labatt than anything else. And then there was another one that I really felt like I had issues with how it worked out. Now I'm having trouble. Oh, the blind sword system, where I don't know, like, if and I bought another one of it. I bought Metz, didn't I? Yeah, at any cost. But that had to do with line of sight, and I was just willing to change it to my own taste because there's some neat stuff going on in that system that I like. And I feel like, yeah, I could start tinkering with this and tweak this and say things like, you know, I'm close to the line that's good enough, stuff like that, where it wouldn't throw me into these unreasonable, like, what I see as unreasonable orders. But the problem is, any kind of fudging rules that I make and apply under those type of circumstances aren't going to work well in a rigid game, right? Like, you know, if I was playing this opposed or something, you know, yeah, maybe I creep one hex this turn. Maybe I creep another hex next turn. That's starting to destroy what this is intended to present. So it's got to be kind of a very amorphous sort of changing the rules. And that's where it just feels like with a tactical game, you shouldn't be doing that, right? Especially one that's, you know, a nice discrete situation like this. Anyway, I'll get back and fiddle around a little bit, see how much, after I load this up then, see how much time I have before raid, whether I want to start another turn. After going downstairs, using the bathroom, getting another pipe load, I realized, hey, I kind of missed saying the point, which is often the case. Those kind of amorphous rules changes lead me to a thought of, you know, maybe there's not a fix that works in a publishable game when it comes down to it. Maybe there's not something that can be written clearly and applied in a nice regimented form, as opposed to the kind of fuzzy amorphous changes that I want to put into place. And that worries me, right? A lot worries me about this in terms of, is this series going to continue? You know, because there's things I really like about it, but I'm also very afraid of how it's likely to be received. Now, the funny thing is, the pushback I'm getting is mainly from people who seem to think that it's easy, that there's no real concerns here or whatever. I'm a little confused by that. Like, maybe I'm just too stupid and I'm not getting the point here. But I kind of feel like nobody's really put forth a very clear statement of, yeah, why it all kind of works in terms of correcting the things that I see as just not working. You know? While pawing through my pieces, I found some that I would have activated. Dress ranks was covering these a little bit. I didn't see that there was no F there. I'm going to activate them and see if I go back. Yes, I reversed. I did some of the stuff, but I feel like, well, what if I went to march instead of charge? I don't need to, because I can do this, 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 and then these guys are blocked off and I can leave them there. And so I've got 3 attacks that I'm making here. There was a pretty impressive net effect to that, which is that the Balliol brigade broke. And what does that mean? I don't think it means anything from the British point of view. Let's take a look. The Thiange infantry is up here. They did not activate, and I can try to activate them after a pass or whatever. I'm, you know, clipping in, but again, it's because the presentation makes it difficult for me to tell what the fuck's going on. And I don't want to fuck the game over by not taking opportunities that I had in this case, because I think there's interesting stuff happening. I'm in March. I am not able to go to the front, but I am able to go to this hex row. So we will do that. Nothing more than that. And I would have a choice as to which one I wanted in the front here. And I'll just continue with my corrections, well, with my unflipping stuff. I'm hoping there are no more issues where I find something that I really wanted to deal with. Now, oh, these guys, oh, fuck. I don't know. Now I'm getting confused because, Hold on. Let's look at this retreat path. This only came 2. Yeah, so I would have been able to do what I did. The question is, some of these guys look like they retreated too far. Let me take this one off. And then these all would have retreated another 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. 1, 2. After the 2. So that's actually what we'd see. This guy failed to retreat, it looks like. No big deal. I've left channels. That is one thing. These boundaries for the wings, they do provide you with places for the routers to withdraw through. So I kind of see them as a reasonable factor in the rear areas, but I kind of don't believe them as being enforced in any sense at the fronts. And also, again, I don't think that these imaginary lines are all that reasonable. For example, we got this line here where the river is kind of over and kind of not. I'm not sure I believe that. Like, if anything, I think that the river line would actually be the division between where different forces would be. There's no disruption for crossing a stream. Well, there is for a larger marshy stream, and there's, again, like with breastworks versus fortifications, they don't really align. Here we have small streams or hedges. This is not a hedge. And here we have large or marshy stream, and all we have in this game is stream and river. Neither of which applies, is clearly either of those. So what do? I don't know. Yeah. There are a lot of problems here. There we go. That's the picture at the end. I've got all these cleaned up. It will be interesting. Some of the games I came to where you begin to learn more about what went wrong, I came to maybe 5-10 years after they were produced. And when something's recent, sometimes it's hard, for people who are involved in it or whatever to say anything directly about it, about what's going on and whatever. But it will be interesting in a few years to find out what went wrong with this. What I suspect is that there's a general mood over at GMT that is no longer supporting as good a work as they were doing for a while. But they had other games at an earlier stage that had problems as well. It was almost as if there was sort of a golden era, maybe fueled by Twilight Struggle and whatever, where they improved quality, improved customer care, and customer care used to always be pretty good through them as well. But they improved it to a level that was just like, as far as I'm concerned, above and beyond what any standards had been before. And the only company that had done that before was the gamers. And I'm sure they no longer are in that position. I get the feeling that things changed after MMP kind of took over the business side of things there. But here, that's my guess, is that there's something that's going from the top. Pressure to get things out quicker, less support, whatever. But there's also, if you look at the simple fact, I talk about One by the Sword and this, of course, and M&P for Hall, but apparently he had another fiasco in there as well. So, again, he may be producing difficult to work with rules to begin with. But anyway, definitely something went really wrong on this one. All right, I'll send this up and we'll see what kind of time I got left.